Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Scott Melker, crypto trader and investor, also the host of the Wolf of All Streets podcast and author of the Wolf Den newsletter, to discuss what's happening in the crypto space. And Scott, it's interesting. It seems relatively quiet recently.
Yeah, the answer would be nothing is happening in the crypto space, but I think that's actually a good thing in context of what's been happening everywhere else. Obviously, we had this massive correlation build between Nasdaq and tech stocks and Bitcoin in the crypto market, but that seems to have finally decoupled. Now, I think Bitcoin and crypto traders would like to see it decoupling with Bitcoin and cryptos rising, but the fact is they've just gone sideways and had basically no volatility while everything around them has burned. I mean, we've seen obviously huge drops in the yen, the euro, the pounds, stocks, bonds, everything else, and Bitcoin since June has effectively been trading sideways. I'll personally take that as a good sign, but I know that there's a lot of interpretations of that data.
Right. Well, it almost makes you wonder, we got what we wanted. You wanted institutional adoption in the space. That has really been what people have been evangelizing for a number of years right now. Perhaps we won't see that kind of volatility or prices move from one extreme to the other now that you are trading an asset with that institutional mindset.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely some truth to that. Unfortunately, you wanted institutional adoption. We cried for it. And now what we get is them shorting this asset 24/7, 365 when they can't get liquidity in any other market. So I do think that that has dampened the volatility to some degree. And they're just treating it as a risk on asset rather than as a hedge or a store of value or any of the reasons that a Bitcoiner holds and buys the asset class. That said, depending on what happens with the macro, we always see it eventually decouple and rise to the upside. I've said this on your show a number of times, but if we look back at March 2020, we know that Bitcoin bottomed under 4,000. The stock market bottomed, stock market doubled, Bitcoin went up 17 times. And I think maybe we won't get that 17 times sort of beta, but I do think, if the stock market doubles again, we get 5, 10 times in Bitcoin, it's still a massive upside asset.
And Scott, anything that you're looking at outside of Bitcoin that we should be aware of?
I mean, honestly, in the crypto market right now, I think it's a great time it's a kind of a joke, but build in a bear market, right? Increase your education, study, dig into the different coins that you never really got a chance to understand when everyone was just FOMOing in because of price action, and take the time to see if this is an asset class that you really want to invest in and where you want to put your money. The sad reality is that, like every other market and every person on the planet, we're all just watching the Fed to see what's going to happen. And it's this sort of dystopian reality where we rail against money printing, but everyone seems to be cheering for the Fed to pivot and print money once again so that their assets can rise in price. So right now, I think is a great time to go outside, touch some grass, and really do nothing.
All right, Scott, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.